Okay. Okay. Okay, so good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the Norwalk Public Library Board of Directors meeting, December 8th, 7 o'clock via Zoom. And present are myself, Janie, Laurel, Ralph, Mary, Sherelle, Alex, Sharon, and Patsy Brescia is just calling in. So please, when she comes in, please mark her as present as well. Since this is the main library board of directors, I would like to have a moment of silence for the passing of Janie's son. And thank you, Janie. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Are there any members of the public on Zoom this evening?
No public comments.
Okay. Any additions to the agenda? All right. So I'll go ahead and give my report. The governance subcommittee met on Tuesday. There were 3 of the committee members there, Laurel, Alex, and myself. Janie and Sharon were not present. If you recall, our next step as part of the subcommittee was going to do some research. So as part of that, and Janie and Sharon, I can fill you in greater detail also another time. I'm just going to give some high-level summary right now. We were going to contact a few libraries, and so I contacted the Stanford Library, New Haven Library, and the Hartford Library, thinking that we would want to talk to, larger libraries as opposed to like real city libraries, as opposed to kind of town libraries. And I also contacted the Connecticut State Association of Libraries, which I've been on their website a lot recently, and they're a great resource. And I'm going to send out the link to the entire board. I send it to the link to our smaller group and point you to in the direction of a few pages that really kind of help us think about a library board, its function, its role. And so in contacting these 3 libraries, I learned that the Stanford and Hartford Library, although they're big city libraries, are not officially municipal libraries. They're 501c3s, although they get a very large allocation from the city. Probably 80% of their funding comes from the city, but they do have a fundraising arm, and they are not technically a city department. They work very closely with the city. In fact, the director of the Stanford Library has a monthly meeting with the mayor, and they work in concert very closely. And the library director in Hartford similarly has a kind of similar relationship in that their personnel and everything is managed through the through the city, but they are a 501c3, and they have a development office within them. So their structures are a little bit different. They are New Haven was probably the library that is closest to us in that it is a municipal library. Although it has a foundation and they do some fundraising, but and the library director there has a kind of has a bit of like a dual reporting structure also to the board and to a one of the mayor's reports. But that report actually, interestingly, that person oversees personnel in the fires, the fire station, the police station, the library. They have a community services department, but the library is not in the community services department. It's more in this this other department. It's called like the chief administrative officer. So they work. The library director there works very closely with the board. When I talked to the Connecticut State Association of Libraries, there's a woman named Dawn Laval who I probably will be contacting again. She is like library governance is her expertise. And she said in the state of Connecticut, there are 169 different libraries, and all of them have a somewhat different form of governance, but one thing that they all have in common, and this is because of the state statute is very clear on this, is that they have boards as their governing body. And all the libraries that she knows of, she said that Norwalk is kind of unusual because our mayor selects our library director in almost, she said in every other case she knows, the board selects the library director. I know we have this kind of hybrid, like we present to the mayor, but she said that that was unusual. And she also said that almost, it's the board is usually goes directly to the city's funding agency for its budget. And so the board has also evaluates its director. So those were some of the key takeaways that I learned and shared with Alex and Laurel. So our next step is going to be drafting some kind of memo with some of these findings, and in terms of talking about what other people around the state are doing and best practices, and the primacy of the state statute in terms of how we regulate, how we govern ourselves. And so we're going to I'm going to take a stab at writing a memo and share it with my colleagues. We will collectively come up with something, share it with the entire board. Hopefully this will be done by the next meeting, fingers crossed, and then present it to the mayor. So that's what's happening on that. And we'll also make some recommendations about, I guess Patsy's not here yet, around city charter revision, based on the state statute, and some of the best practices across the state, some of the practices across the state. Would anyone like to add anything here? Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is the Wall Street plan. I want to say thank you to everybody who attended that meeting. There were many of us were there, and it was great that we're there. And that meeting was a good reminder. I mean, I went, I thought, oh, I'm the library board president, I should go to this. But it was a good reminder to me to be out in the community representing the library. I mean, I know it sounds kind of basic, but that's what our role is. And not just in that forum, but I think more generally, we are representatives of the library. And it was great because I'll get to some of the things that we learned in that Wall Street plan, but it was great because there were several common council members there who I had a chance to talk to, who are very supportive of the library, who I think are as anxious as us to see the library, both libraries really thrive and become modern places that are attractive for the residents. So these are the people that are going to be making decisions about allocating funds for the library. So it was good. There were, I guess, 3 or 4 things that we learned at the Wall Street plan. And if you didn't go to the meeting, the plan directly affects the library. So it's on Nancy on Norwalk. The whole presentation is there. So if you wanted to kind of peruse through it. So the intersection in front of like at Belden and Mott, which has been like a long time mess, just the way it's organized and the yield and the this and that, that is planning on being fixed to a proper kind of just 4-way crosswalk area with and the parking garage there's planning a renovation around that and a clear pathway from the parking garage to the library. I mean, I'm still like, I still don't know if that's really going to be enough to convince people to go park over there. But there is going to be kind of a clear pathway, and they're planning to put in a pedestrian crosswalk on Belden. So a crosswalk from like the garage pathway to the Belden Avenue entrance, which I think, as we think about renovation, I think that we're kind of orienting the building that way more than on Mott. So more to come. I thought the whole plan was really exciting for that area. So hoping to see it move forward. And it was great. It was great that it was at the library. So thank you, Sherelle, for making all that, that connection with that group.
Transportation, mobility, and parking.
What'd you say?
I think I always get them mixed up with transportation, mobility, and parking. I think that's the name.
Is that the new name?
Yeah.
Jim Travers and his.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot to learn from that group also as the library.
For sure.
I think they're doing like just the way they're doing things is really interesting and like inclusive and getting the community involved. And I think as when we are at that stage with the library, I'm kind of taking some mental notes, and hopefully Sherelle, you and like other members of the group are too, because I think we could do some of those types of things around the library in terms of the charrettes and the this and the that, and then, okay, so those were two reports that I had. And
Can I make a comment about the Wall Street?
Yeah, sure, please.
I was there also, and I care a lot about Wall Street for the library, but also care about Wall Street for Wall Street. And the Wall Street plan was something that my administration did as mayor. And then after I left, it kind of got bogged down and has had a lot of problems. The whole theory of the Wall Street plan was to reject the previous redevelopment efforts, which were centered around bringing in a big department store and hoping that would attract people to the old downtown of Norwalk. And what we did instead was to adopt a plan that makes the Wall Street area into a urban residential village with a lot of housing to generate its own markets for food, for cultural activities, for little shops, small businesses. And I think the Wall Street pedestrian walkway and safety plan that the city has come up with is excellent because it really ties into the whole idea of bringing people to live, to walk, to shop at Wall Street. And the fact that we've got the library, the Wall Street Theater, we used to have the ballerina shop there on the corner that left, but there may be some other cultural and artistic centers coming. It's just going to be terrific. So I was very, very encouraged because it really fits into the whole Wall Street kind
Okay,
of urban plan.
I totally agree. Hold on. Sherelle, Patsy says she's on mute. Can you unmute her? She said she can hear the whole meeting, but she's on mute.
I don't see her. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm glad, I really like the spirit of this plan also. In terms of what you were saying, Alex, and they talked a lot about the library and the theater as the two cultural kind of anchors of the space. Hold on, I'm gonna see, let me see if I can get her so that I think she really wants to say something, so let's just call and see if she can.
She asked her, she should be able to. The way this one is, it goes into an attendees. And so.
Okay, I hit *6.
Okay, you got
Yay. Okay,
Am I in?
we can hear you and we can see
Okay.
you.
Okay, I've been here from the beginning, so, okay. Great.
Okay, just let the record show that Patsy Bressa is in attendance, please.
Thank you.
I wanted to add too on how important our participation in this whole plan as it moves forward, because the library should be with capital letters, the center of all of this. And we have to keep articulating that so that people absorb that the library is really key to helping the development really function in the way that everybody wants it to function.
Absolutely. Okay, is there anything else before we just move on to the action resolution to accept the saltwater aquarium donation? Okay, Alex, would you like to?
Sure, thank you. Earlier tonight, the trustees of the Library Foundation accepted a generous gift from a donor to fund the installation of a saltwater aquarium in the children's department at the Belden Avenue location of the Norwalk Library. So what we need to do tonight is to accept the donation from the foundation of the aquarium equipment, the fish, the vertebrate, and so on. And to also acknowledge by the resolution that I'll be proposing that the foundation has agreed to use these funds to be responsible for maintenance of the aquarium and replenishment and restocking of the fish and the other invertebrates and corals and so on for the next 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, it'll be up to the foundation to decide whether to continue funding, and it will be up to the library board to decide whether to accept a donation if offered and to continue this program. This is going to be a terrific resource for educating kids about marine life and resources. And we know that the children's department was already thinking very creative ideas about programming. So what I'd like to do tonight is to ask the board to approve the resolution that was circulated earlier that accepts the gift from the foundation, including the 5 years of maintenance. The gift is the actual aquarium itself to be installed at the foundation's expense, stocked with, say, fish and crabs and snails, corals, and other appropriate materials. And the funds from the donor will support the, say, the maintenance and restocking for the next 5 years. So attached to the resolution is in the Schedule A, the gift letter from the donor to the foundation. Schedule B is a list of terms that we've agreed to. Schedule C is the budget for the next 5 years in very broad terms. Schedule D is a list of the equipment that will be purchased for us by the foundation of the aquarium itself. Schedule E is a list of the fish, invertebrates, and corals that will be stocked into the aquarium and will be the basis for replenishment over the years. Schedule F is a description of the very modest plaque that the donor would like installed. And he's very modest about this gift, does not seek a lot of publicity, and that's why we've not, excuse me, mentioned things like the amount of the gift too much, but he's very, very supportive of the library. And I want to say before asking for the support of this resolution, I'd also like to make clear that I discussed this with the city law department, and there will be a email from Attorney Matt Sapienza from the law department attached to our resolution, in which I described and disclosed to him all of these resolutions and documents, and he replied after seeing them that the proposed resolution that we'll be voting on tonight that you sent to me seems to be consistent with the authority of the Norwalk Public Library Board. So on that basis, I'd like to move the resolution and the attachments and thank everyone for their cooperation. Obviously, we'll have a chance to thank the donor. And this is a fantastic opportunity for the library and for the children of the city of Norwalk. So I move adoption of the resolution and be glad to answer any questions anybody has.
I'd just like to say that this donor is indeed very generous. But I would like to take this opportunity to thank Alex for his work on working with the donor, making sure that all the details were looked into. He clearly did, it was very thorough, and we really, I'm very thankful to him for
Thank you
for
very
his
much.
work.
Thank you.
For the record, I'm happy to second the resolution as presented.
Thank you, Patsy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please say
Aye.
aye.
So I
So-
take that to be a vote of 8-0 with Tom being absent. Is that accurate?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, this is exciting
you.
for the children of Norwalk, well, and the adults.
And Sherelle, I'll get you copies of this tomorrow with the details of the vote filled in to attach to the minutes.
Okay.
Okay, moving on.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You.
Moving on to Sherelle.
Okey dokes. Tonight, it's all about the money. So let's see, we'll start with the operating budget. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so the operating budget, we didn't ask for a lot, but we did ask for quite a few positions. So, prior to the pandemic, we had 3 custodians. One of them took the early retirement package, and so that left us with 2. That was okay when we were closed and partially open. But now that we have the Sunday hours and we have 2 additional evening hours, we definitely need that 3rd custodian. So I put in for the custodian. With the library assistant, it was on the book, so it's still in personnel, but I didn't see it in Munis, which is the city software. I didn't see it there. So we seem to think that it's actually still there, and you know, we do have someone interested in that position who we think will be great. But we don't know, because you know, we have to go out to bid, and then we have to open it up to the public. So, you know, we'll see. So the new position, which we discussed before, would be the communications coordinator. And that position would basically do, and Moni, did you notice that I changed the name?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's what I see mostly
That's
on the
what you wanted,
job
yeah.
market, so.
That's fine. So the responsibility, basically it will be the branding, the marketing, and, you know, per the efficiency study, just, you know, bringing the library under one banner, particularly with our messaging, you know, on the internet, in the media, and just, you know, with outreach. That would take a lot of the burden off of the staff that's doing it now, so they can concentrate more on, you know, the professional library duties. So any questions on positions before I move on?
So yeah, Cheryl, hi, this is Alex. So since we added money for Sunday hours last year,
Mhm.
can we just assume that that just stays in the budget as part of the status quo?
It's still in the budget, so, you know, I watched that, it's still in the budget, it doesn't come out of the regular budget, it comes out of an overtime budget.
Right, but I'm saying we don't have to request it again. You've already requested it as part of your
As part, yes.
continuation. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I understand now, yes, I
Yeah.
did.
But why would we want it in overtime and not in?
That's
in
a city thing. The city does that. Well, one, it's a time and a half, it's not regular time, but that's the city, that's what they did once we opened again for hours. That, it predates COVID.
Is that sufficient for your needs?
As long as the amount is correct, as we calculate our opening hours, how many staff are there. So what I requested is adequate.
I wanted to tell you, Sherelle, that I was looking through some of the state association, library and governance, and
Mhm.
they highly recommend some kind of public relations member on the staff. So I'll copy that for you and send it to you, just in terms of like making the case for the communications coordinator.
Wonderful. That should help. I know Henry's a numbers. He crunches those numbers, but you know, that should help too. And then we didn't ask for much more typing because we had some meetings that went over. We're just a little over, it will be over by 40 this year. So I just suggested that we increase to 500 to cover any special meetings and to cover you know, any overages if we go over, you know, our hour.
So I won't be around to talk very much longer on the board, so you'll save some money.
Well, that's not ideal, Alex. So office supplies, oh my gosh, the jump in what we're seeing for things that we normally pay for, like, labels, printer
Paper.
tape.
Yeah.
The jump is astronomical. So, but I think, 640 roughly, should be adequate, but we just have to watch because we don't know if the numbers are going to continue to go up. So, what we did just to show that, we're trying to be fiscally responsible, there is a reduction in some areas. Postage, we don't use as much postage, so we thought we could reduce, and just let me say, I wanted to print out the whole budget, but there was an issue. Finance, back, I guess they had the issue with printing it out. Today, I was able to, I guess they put in a ticket to IT, but I was able to print it out today. So I can send it to you, so you can see it in its entirety. This was just what I did because I couldn't print the whole thing out, but I'll send I'll send it out. So anyway, so here are some areas that we were able to reduce. So the reduction, in case, there's an issue, because I know the mayor wants a flat budget again this year, even though we've given up a lot, but just to show that we're trying to be fiscally responsible, we do have the reduction, which is roughly 26,000. Also, I'm hoping to be able to start passport service maybe in February. And so that will generate some revenue. I believe it was roughly $35,000 a year. So hopefully they'll respect and appreciate the fact that, we're trying to reduce, even though we're asking for some things.
Terrell, what about that little I don't know, kiosk, I don't know what you call it, I forgot what you call it, little office where people can scan and fax and copy and
That's
that
gonna
you're
be
trying.
a capital ask.
Okay.
So that would
But that would bring in some revenue, correct?
no.
No? They wouldn't pay for any of that? Anybody
Nope.
using it?
No, but it's not unusual. Most of our surrounding libraries already have it. And
Yeah,
we don't,
okay.
we don't charge.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and we're not seeing the whole budget here, so I assume somewhere there's a line about room rental. Because we do rent out some of the rooms, but
Mhm.
this isn't a complete budget, so we're only seeing the adds and the subtractions, not the kind of regular day-to-day items in the budget.
Yeah, I was able to print it out.
Yeah, I understand what you said, Cheryl. Yeah,
Yeah, so
I'm just
I'll
saying
send that out.
in response to Patsy, we do charge for some things, but
Mhm.
we're not
Yeah,
showing revenue
right.
as a separate line item.
Yeah. But I was thinking that we were going to charge for those services, and I thought that would be a nice selling point. But if we're not charging, it's not a good selling point then,
Yeah, no, we're not charging.
from that perspective. Okay.
Cheryl, I realize that you want to be a good team player with the mayor's call for a flat funding. Do you think seriously, all of these reductions are realistic? I mean, I don't know what you mean by electrical supplies, but the cost of electricity in Connecticut is going up substantially. And the same for, things, all of our stuff is getting older. So repairs and maintenance, I assume, doesn't easily decline. So, if you think these are realistic, I'm glad to support them, but I don't want you to scrimp where it's not really realistic to think that we can save these.
Alex, I really appreciate your saying that. No, I think that they're realistic, because I went through and I looked at 3 years just to see what we were spending and why. And the electrical supplies, just so you know, that's not, Neil basically pays for the electrical budget. So this is like, if we need things like an extension cord, and things like that. And we
Light
still,
bulbs.
yeah. So, and we still have I'm so mad that I couldn't print this before, so you could, you could compare it. But we still, I think we have enough in that budget to cover the things that we need. But I really appreciate you saying that, because as I was combing the budget, I was like, oh, yeah.
Of course, I could never say that if I was mayor, but since I'm not,
Well, obviously, it's our responsibility as trustees is to advocate for what we feel we need.
Mhm.
And so if you feel comfortable with those figures, but if you don't, now's the time to articulate that.
No, I do. I feel comfortable with them.
Earl, I have a couple questions. Just about, were you planning on getting an assistant?
I'm planning on putting in for a secretary, part-time though.
Oh, okay, so that wouldn't be in here?
No, not for part-time.
That's what?
No, it wouldn't.
Okay. And then the other question I wanted to ask was about grounds maintenance.
Mm-hmm,
And we talked about the outside being a little bit slopey and dangerous for the kids.
mm-hmm.
Is there enough funding in here to,
No, that's a good question. Neil thought he said it would be pretty pricey, but I can see thank you for that, Sharon. I can see if what that cost would be, because he didn't price it out. I'm sorry, I'm just writing that down. Thank you for that, Sharon.
sure thing?
Any other questions before I move on to the capital?
Do you know what your date of presentation for operating budget is?
Operating is the Monday, December 12th. But it's just it's a 15-minute discussion.
With
Henry.
Henry?
Hmm.
Okay.
So it's just a preliminary, just to, see what's what.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Is there a way for you to share the entire budget with the group, or?
I did say that I was going to send it. I was
Oh,
able to
okay.
print
I'm
it
sorry.
today. No, that's okay. I felt bad because this would have been included with this, but I couldn't print it, but today I was able to print it. So I'll send it. Okay, so I will move on to the capital. So let's see, let me see if I can share my screen. Can everyone see the screen?
No.
Patsy, you're always causing trouble. I guess I'll have to
Sorry.
be
Sorry, I'm envisioning it.
envisioning. Well, you all received a copy, so. So the first thing on the list is the ADA compliant doorknobs.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
At the main library. So just so you can see here, on your
hey,
left,
Sherelle,
sir.
before you start, what's the difference of what you're showing us and what you sent us? Which I have like 9 items,
Mhm.
487,000. Which is which?
What do you mean? So what I did, I sent you two. One I sent in Excel, and then the other, so it's basically the same. One is just an Excel version, and this one is more of a visual, so you can see the items. So they're the same.
Okay.
Okay. You okay, or do you need something else?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't see the door handles on the Excel spreadsheet.
It's a different document.
I guess I'm asking which, are they,
Are you looking at operating or at capital?
no, you sent around a capital and I printed it out as an Excel. It's got integrated library system, Baker and Taylor, the hour, Soto Library.
Oh, hold on, let me
First-
make sure I sent the right one. I'm so sorry. Hold on 1 second. Well, I'll go through this and then
Okay,
I'll make sure, let me just see something really quick.
There's a document that she sent that is a PDF document. And
Yeah,
it's,
but I think they're saying that it's not matching that so
oh,
it's not on the ADA compliant doorknobs are not on the Excel version?
no,
Right. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't have it either.
Okay, so that means they probably sent the wrong document. Hold on 1 second, I just want to make sure.
one that I think Laurel and I have says 2023-24 requests. And it's got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines of items
Mhm.
for a total of 487, 460.
Hold on 1 second.
yeah, but the doorknobs are on that one.
I thought they were, but let me just double check.
Well, they're not, no, they're not on there.
It's,
Well, if they're not, they need to get added. Can we just,
Yeah.
make that correction and discuss the other items?
Can you see? Yeah, we can. So it should say main library ADA compliant doorknobs and then library van and then integrated. Is that not the one that you have?
Yeah, the first one is library van.
no, if you
No,
look
there should be
flush
at
to the top.
All the way at the top, it should say main library ADA compliant doors.
Okay, I just printed it out, so,
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it was just in your printing.
okay.
Laurel, but I don't think Laurel got it either, right, Laurel?
It may be the same problem because I printed it out too.
So it should say, so let's, okay, so library van and then in the ILS and then the Baker and Taylor
Right,
pre-processing.
yes,
Right.
yes.
So yeah, I think it's just maybe, oh, thank God. I think maybe you're just missing the top part of it
Okay,
Okay. So can you just tell me what that number is?
for the 60,000.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I was starting to get worried. Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, so the left side is what we have at the main library. The right side are the ADA compliant handles, and that's what we have at the main library. So I'd like both libraries to be to have ADA compliant doorknobs.
You said we have them at the South Norwalk, but not Norwalk.
Correct.
Right, you just said it the opposite way, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, okay,
Yeah.
let me repeat. So we have the ADA compliant doorknobs at the Stono Library, and I would like to have
Right.
them at Main so that both of our buildings are ADA compliant.
Okay, not that we like them, that we need them in order to be ADA compliant.
Thank you, Patsy.
Yeah. More assertive.
Gotcha. Let me make sure my wording was assertive. Okay, I'll change the wording. Okay, so number 2, again, we're asking for the library van. Alex wanted an estimate for the electrical van, so I put the higher number in as opposed to the lower number, but I got estimates for both.
good.
And so the estimate for the gas, hold on, let's see, I'm thinking of an electric. That's gas. So for, oh God, I can barely even see this. For gas, it's roughly 58,000. And then for the electric, it's 80,000, roughly 80,500.
And Sherelle, is the city moving forward with electric vehicles?
That's
It,
the plan from what I gather.
Pretty big, yeah, price difference, but.
yeah, well, I mean, it's, if that's the way they're moving, that's great, but, if they're not moving in that direction, they're not gonna be very supportive of getting the electric, but.
The police department just got some electric vehicles. And I know it was
The
it was a
police,
big deal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so obviously part of this calculation is the cost of gas. And,
Yeah.
you know, if it goes back to $5 a gallon, it reduces the number of years that you need to, you know, amortize the cost over and you know, gain the efficiencies of electric. Also, you may have seen in the hour this morning that the city put its first electric charging station on public property. And over a year ago, I had asked the mayor to put a electric charging station in the Norwalk Park Library parking lot so that we could have customers charge vehicles, and we can certainly charge this thing if we're able to get it.
And we also charge our pop-up truck.
Right, right.
Great.
Well, thank you for requesting
Okay.
that, Cheryl.
Of course.
Just as
What's
an
next?
FYI, there are like at least 4 electric charging stations at the East Norwalk Library.
Yeah,
Wow. That's
Yeah,
a-
we
that's
charge
a-
our
that's
electric
a
car
good-
there all the time.
that's
and
a good
Westport
selling
has them
point.
also.
Okay.
So, excuse me. So our integrated library system, that's so, let's see how I can describe this in layman's terms. So when you go in and you are searching for items, that's our ILS is the back end of that. It's of the OPAC. The OPAC is what you use to search for items. So ours is over 20 years old. We didn't go for the upgrades before, again, trying to come in with a flatter budget, but we're at the point now that we have no choice but to do it. The vendor, they've had 2 upgrades since, and they're not really supporting the version that we have or updating it with any regularity. So we really need to go, we have no choice. We need to, we have to upgrade. The good thing about this is in working with the city, partnering with the city IT department, they will they will absorb the annual cost. So we won't have to pay the annual cost for it.
And that's at both libraries, right?
Of course.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's one system. What's really cool about the upgrade is that, you know how like when you're searching, you know, say Laurel is searching for the writer's market. And we may have it in different versions. Right now, you would have to look at separate records. You would be able to see it, whether it's in print or if it's like DVD or, you know, but this one, it'll show you every version that's had. So just, you're looking for A Tale of Two Cities. You won't just see the book version and then have to go and look for the DVD version or the audio book. You'll see every kind of, you know, what we have and the formats that we have. And it's just, it's a more user-friendly or patron friendly product.
That's a good explanation of the request.
Mhm. And so this just gives you, you know, some information. This was provided by Lori Ifland. I'm just gonna, you can look
Okay,
at that
what's next?
at your leisure. I'm going, Miss Patsy. You can't see the screen. I'm scrolling past everything. Okay, so the next is the Baker and Taylor pre-processing. Since I've been here, I've not really seen consistency when it comes to our labeling. And maybe it's my OCD, but I really like things to look the same and just look neat on the shelves for patrons. You know, there's no reason why, you know, our stuff should be all over the place. But the better reason for having this, one is that things can come in shelf ready and ready to go. And all of, you know, the department would just have to double check to make sure everything's okay. And then you know, if there's original cataloging, we'd still have, you know, the people in the department to do that. So just like when Cindy has her author, her indie authors things, and they have their books, they may not be in our system. So there would have to be some original cataloging. But I think having the pre-processing, that will help us get the most out of our budget with the staffing challenges that we have.
So it's a money saver,
Mm-hmm, for sure.
labor.
Mm-hmm.
I was unclear on that one, Sherelle, if this is a new annual fee or what this, like, what's the 60,000 for? Is that going to be every
That's-
year?
No, not at all. That's to get us started. So right now, when we order, we pretty much just, we put in the record where we want the item. So whether we want it in the DVD collection, whether we want it in the sci-fi collection. This will allow us to set up grids. So it'll have every single one of our collections, whether, for children's and for adult. And we just check the grid. That lets the company know how we want everything processed and cataloged. So this is the setup fee to be able to do that.
All right, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, what was the maintenance fee on it? I'm just curious.
There's no maintenance, it's just the
That's it.
setup.
That's it. Okay, thanks.
And then this is everybody's favorite, our newspaper digitization. And so, so right now, the only missing years are 1971 through 2006. And then once we do that, we have everything. And, even 1971, that's like 50 years ago. So basically, I'm sorry. Oh, I thought someone was asking a question. So the reference team, they get quite a few questions, that fall into that time frame, and this would allow them to expedite answering those questions. But more importantly, it would give our residents and the and historians, they would be able to look this stuff up in our OPAC. Already cataloged, and they would be able to find it whether they come in or whether they're at home. It's accessible on our website 24/7. And, it's just an important resource for, everyone to, so they can permanently connect Norwalk's past to its future with a searchable digital edition of our primary local newspaper that spans 3 centuries. So we have the option of paying for it all at once, for a savings of roughly 60,000, or paying for it in installments, which is what we've done in the past.
No, not when you say paying, you're not just paying, you're just doing it in installments.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? You would do so many years for X amount of dollars?
In installments, correct. So the first year,
Yes,
Yep.
yes. So that wasn't clear the way you presented that, because that's the key here, that, if we do it in segments, you're only getting how many years in what, how much is it, like
so
15,000?
the first year is 35,000, and the years
And for-
thereafter are 22.
All right, but all right, the 32, what years would that cover?
So let's see, if we divide how many years are we looking at?
I think it's 7 years.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's the way I think it would be good to present it, is rather than just doing 7 years,
mhm.
and then waiting another 5 years to bring us up to current, we have the need now for people wanting this information now, not 5 years from now.
Got it, okay. Thank you.
I'm really curious. Can you hear me?
Sure, yep.
Yeah, I'm really curious. This is the Department of Stupid Questions. That's me tonight. Why doesn't the hour digitize it themselves, and why don't we just pay a fee to them to access it? I don't get it.
Yeah, I wondered that the first time as well.
Okay.
They haven't. No, it's
Yeah,
definitely not a stupid question at all.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
also to that point, when the archives were turned over from the Norwalk Museum to the library, that
Mhm.
maybe now like 10 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when we started to do this.
Yes.
Okay, so that's an important history point for people making a decision. That the city made the decision to turn this resource over to the library to provide it for our citizens. And
Okay.
so they need to understand that, because that was a big deal when we did it 10 years ago.
Okay.
See, also, I think, let's not forget the Hour has changed ownership. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure the Hearst newspapers has any kind of, proprietary interest in the paper before it. But I've always thought we should ask the Hour for a donation for this project.
Yeah, that would seem reasonable.
Alex,
Well,
Yes, Ralph?
I like that, what you just said. Working with the Hour over decades, not just years, the Norwalk Hour has never allowed us to use their back files. Even when they were for years locally based, they never allowed us to use it. So this was a way of buying our workable copy for the public. It saves a lot of time and effort. But the newspaper, even under private ownership, was never cooperative.
but Ralph,
Well, it's interesting. Obviously, the Hour has changed. The Hour has changed a lot. I mean, it's now primarily a regional, not a hometown paper.
That's right.
And we get, maybe a page and a half each edition. And, Darien and New Canaan and Westport and Stanford and stuff get a lot. But they still might have an interest in, giving a modest contribution, maybe a couple $1,000s a year, something like this.
It's worth the asking.
Yeah.
But can I ask Ralph a question? When we turned over the files, weren't we working with Yale somehow to do this process for us?
We worked with some of the universities because Yale owned the original bound copies of the South North Central.
Okay.
And they wanted to stop any public use because the papers are in very fragile condition. So they went ahead and did the microfilming, and then we raised the money and bought a copy of the microfilm for the collection, which is downstairs in the history room.
Yeah, so that's all very important, Cheryl, to educate, because all these people are new to Norwalk. They don't know that, but, the city, turned over their files to the library to protect and preserve. And so this is important, and we shouldn't have to wait 5 years to get the next 50, the last 50 years of information.
Got it. Point well taken. Anything else? Any other questions? Sono exterior lighting. It's I guess I got used to it, but we were doing a walkthrough.
Yeah,
outside.
I brought it up. I was there, 6 o'clock one night a couple of weeks ago, and I was absolutely shocked on how dark it is. And, the main entrance is down the driveway. It's not at the street. And you have to walk down, and it's super dark. We need additional lighting there. It's very unfriendly and uncomfortable. You can't see where you're going.
No, you can't. And it would add a layer of safety. So thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so main library first floor carpet is atrocious. It's not only aesthetically unattractive, but it's beginning to ravel and presenting a safety hazard.
It is unraveled. It's not beginning. It's it's worn. It's worn through. It's dangerous.
So I just I didn't want to take pictures all over the place, but I just gave some examples of the carpet unraveling, and then all of these spots that just throughout it looks atrocious.
And it's really just the first floor, which you need to point out, because we've already done the auditorium upstairs, and the children's area seems to be fine. So when you present it, just say it's just the first
The main
floor.
library first floor for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, we definitely saw that on the walkthrough,
Mhm.
for sure, firsthand, all of us.
Patsy, I'm
And
scrolling.
I'm sure they're gonna ask, well, would this be a waste of money if we're gonna redo it? Well, you know, this carpet is not gonna last the 5 years that it's gonna take you to get going and get us a new library.
For sure. And so the main library adult reading room furniture. So that area is just, it's not attractive at all. Or not comfortable for people who want to sit and read. And a lot of them are elderly population. You know, they pretty much read, you know, the print materials, and they like to sit in the library. So, you know, I just gave some information on the baby boomers. And that's, you know, a lot of our library users. And I know Alex had mentioned having the chairs that have the armrests. So Cindy is working on this project, but I just gave one example of, and I can present the rest later once she finishes. But an example of something that she found that has armrest and that's comfortable. Also, we're looking at tables, you know, as well for people who just want to sit and read. So,
That's,
And,
Cheryl,
you
that's
know,
really
you
good.
can-
I don't think we need all, I mean, I didn't mean to say every piece of furniture had to be an armchair, but we need some so seniors can help, you know, push themselves up after sitting.
and I did tell her a
But-
hybrid, you know, so some of the peers.
Yeah.
But this also fits in with the plan for Wall Street. Again,
Yeah.
this is an opportunity to say, this is what we're trying to make the library a center for the people that are moving into this area that will want to come to the library, read a book, get a cup of coffee like you used to be able to do at Barnes and Noble, and feel like you're, you know, out in the world. It's very important to a large segment of the population.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Patsy, here's your business center installation.
Oh, wait,
What?
one thing. I'm sorry. About how many chairs are we talking about? Do you have a number?
We're thinking with these, maybe 4, but we're also looking at something, I don't want something that just looks like junk. I want something that's piecemeal and color coordinated and that sort of thing. So, so we're also looking at tables, you know, for people who want to sit and read. So, I really have to just wait for her to finish. And
Okay.
hopefully I'll have something.
Great.
No, great question. But again, I just don't want to throw a table in there and the table doesn't match the chair.
Yeah,
Or something, because then here we are again with not having the cohesiveness or the beauty and just having some things just thrown there, which is what we're trying to.
And it would need to coordinate with our new carpeting.
yes.
For sure.
Can I just like to reinstate something that I've continued to say that I think is really important. I really think we need an hourly interior designer to help us pick these things. I think in the long run, the furniture, the rug, like whatever it is we're picking out would be more cohesive, make it a more like world-class facility. And maybe it could save us money in the long run. So we don't make costly mistakes and they can provide us with furniture that doesn't wear out. Like these are things that interior designers know.
For sure.
And I just think we need somebody.
I totally agree with that. And I think, you know, like we are in a unique position in terms of like, you know, the carpeting, we don't need something that's going to last like 25 years. We need something that's going to serve a kind of interim solution of 5 years. And even with the chairs, like something that we could buy and not waste, you know, something that would be easily kind of could fit into a new
So the
design.
note, right.
And yeah.
And
So-
you know, the argument is we didn't ask for these in the last few years because we thought this project was going to move faster than it is, but it's not moving
Exactly.
fast. And so
Well, we
these
had
things must be
COVID, you
addressed.
know, so.
Well, don't let them use that.
And we are being we are recording.
Yeah.
Although I do resent being called elderly. I'm just saying.
Lauren, Laurel, you're not elderly.
But
I
it
wasn't
says
talking, Laurel, I wasn't talking,
54 to
Laurel,
72.
Laurel,
The
I wasn't
elderly
talking,
frequent the
I wasn't talking
library.
about you. Laurel, I wasn't talking about you. I'm talking, of course, about Ralph. And me
talking
and,
about
me and
me
Pat,
and
me and
me.
Patsy, we
Yeah.
can just get along fine, but,
Listen,
you know,
I'm older than you and Ralph, so, and I need the arms to get up. So I vote for chairs with arms, and I forgot what chairs we're getting in South Norwalk, but that might be helpful to do something similar. But the one thing that I'm wondering about is this idea for outside furniture.
Mhm.
Would that be a capital budget item or not?
It would be a capital budget item, but I'm not sure if we should ask for it this year. I did call the transportation, mobility and parking. I always get the order mixed up. I did call them to see what,
Yeah.
they're doing, what their design is. I'm not for
Uh-huh.
their outdoor. I'm not quite sure
Yep.
they're there yet.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm not quite sure they're there, but that might be our second year ask for this fiscal year.
Do
Once
you
we
have
come-
an appointment for your presentation? Do you have a schedule for the Capitol?
For the capital, a preliminary, so again, December 12th is the preliminary discussion. And then Moina, Lamond and I met to go over them.
Okay, and so can Moina go with you with Henry, or do you have to go by yourself?
Well, Moina, do you want to answer that? We did meet with Lamont. It'll be.
Yeah, Lamont said I'm not invited, so.
Okay, all right. Just asking. I thought it would be great if you could go. Okay.
Let's see, so moving on to the business center. So basically, you have a list of the things that we would put in the center, things that most people would use. Patsy, I think it was you who asked about having a shredder that's not so loud.
Redder?
I can't remember who asked, but anyway, so we hope this shredder, it's supposed to be, it says it's a super quiet shredder. So, so we hope it is super quiet. So anyway, so it's, so that's the 15,000 for the addition.
But again, we're not going to be charging anybody to use these things, correct?
No, we're not.
Okay.
It would, be
All
a
right.
great addition for, our entrepreneurs, and our nonprofits who want to come in and use it. And I don't like following others. I'm hoping going forward, we can be in the forefront of things, but other libraries already have this stuff.
Yeah, well, that's important to say.
Yeah,
That's important to say.
I don't like.
But things like the large laminator, I mean, that's gonna be free, that seems, and the large format printer,
Mhm.
that, I mean, the stapler, of
But
course,
we could,
and the
you
shredder.
can limit use, I
Sure.
mean, wow.
Yeah, because you pay a lot for that in other places, like
Yeah.
to get large format things.
Yeah, all the real estate architects go in and use it.
Need more traffic into the library for sure.
All right.
I mean, if you as a board think that we should charge, that's something you may want to have that discussion. I didn't think so because it's a, free public library and we try to keep things, most things free. But if you think that that's kind of a little too generous, if you want to have that discussion,
I think you need some control over it for sure, that people don't abuse it.
okay.
Yeah,
That's-
and those, I mean, I know printer cartridges, they cost a lot of money, so it just, it's just something to think about, so.
Point well taken.
So our
Mhm.
total budget is 470 something.
Yeah, it is
487
487, 460.
and change.
Yeah, and Sherelle, if you could print out a copy and have it at the library, I'll pick it up next week because I will not have my computer probably for a month, so I'm not getting any emails, you know?
Okay, for sure.
So I didn't get any of this materials, and I would like it.
Oh, right, okay. For
Sure.
sure.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I just had a quick question. A while back, we were talking about the Library of Things.
Mhm.
Is that ever something we're gonna do, or?
I did present that to the supervisors and oh God, I just remember they were not so gung ho about some of the things. We have the makerspace, you know, which is people can't necessarily check it out, but they can come in and use it. But I know they weren't so gung ho. I can revisit it again. I think the last time it might have been maybe a year ago. There was an article you guys sent to, I think Alex sent it to us and I
Yeah.
shared it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shared it with them, but I can revisit it.
I was talking to a friend from Massachusetts and she was talking about her library, and the very first thing she said about her library was, you know, I can rent so many things I can get so many things. I can get like a power washer. I can get like just all these different things from her library. It was like very important to her. It seemed that
Yeah, I've got some more articles to circulate about it, but I think, Sherelle, maybe it's appropriate to think of it as sort of long-term planning rather than something
I
we might
agree.
want to do, imminently, but it's worth looking at for the long term and maybe picking out 2, 3, or 5 items and giving it a try in a couple of years.
Okay.
I've got a couple more publications I'll send.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry, I'm just writing. Okay, for Patsy who likes to keep it moving. Let's see.
Cheryl, can I ask you about the carpet?
Mhm.
This is something I saw recently, the carpet. Because that's a pretty big ticket item, right?
Yeah, so with just moving the furniture and putting down the rug, it was 95,000. But then we had to look at the stacks too, moving the stacks as well. So that's what happened last time, when they did the carpet, they just went up to the stacks. So when we were weeding to make more room for sitting space, then we had to put the blue carpet down,
Oh,
so,
that's fine.
yeah. And so
So
this way,
are the stacks movable? Are they on wheels or are they nailed into the floor? You know, how are they?
I don't think
how
they're
are they
nailed into the floor, but they're not on casters.
Okay, all right, but they are movable shelving.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, they are movable.
Well,
I'm sorry, I'm
they
shaking my head,
gotta
yes,
do it that
Patsy.
way. Otherwise, you can't move anything, change any layouts if they don't do the whole thing. If they go around the stacks, that's ridiculous, you know?
Right.
But I mean, we do have to remember it's a special circumstance in terms of like a 5-year, I'm just talking about in terms of cost,
Well, yeah, you know what? The liability for the city, if somebody tripped in the library on that carpeting, it would cost the city
I
more
totally
than
agree.
$100,000.
I think
I
we
don't
need
think
to
So
she was
it's
talking about
dangerous.
that, Pat. I think she was talking
Oh.
about the
The
moving
racks.
stacks.
Yeah,
the racks.
okay,
I mean,
okay.
I completely agree that our library, our
Yeah.
carpet, is a little bit
It's
embarrassing.
atrocious. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And I'm very much in support of a new carpet. But I'm just saying that, thinking about, I'm putting my cost hat on, it just seemed like a very high number for one
Big
floor.
area. the big area. But I have another question on the budget, and that is, what's remaining for any of the past? What's outstanding in any of the past projects?
So we have the GNLV project. Your itemization came in today, so I was able to get that. So that, and then we still have the auditorium. Remember, we were going to start in August, but one of the pieces they couldn't get. And so that's still outstanding
That's just for the technology.
for the technology and the auditorium.
Right.
And then Sono, but we're pretty much there with that. The GNLV, let me see if I can find that. The itemization. Where is it? Hold on one second.
Because I know Henry is going to ask
Oh, for
about.
sure, without a doubt.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so, if you can have all that on the tip of your
Mhm. So can
pencil
you,
or whatever.
yeah, no, I know Henry's gonna ask for sure, but thank you for that reminder,
Yeah, right, that's, yeah.
for sure. So this came in, I got it today. So this is the itemization, and I'll send this out, too, for the GNLV project.
But this is like almost $30,000 less than what we have.
We anticipate,
Well, the furniture is not in here. This is just their part of what they're doing, but the furniture is not in there. So I will, so I'll share this too. So that's it for the budgets. I'm just looking to see, and the Sono renovation, so we finalized the carpet. Janie and Patsy bullied me. They chose what they wanted. I didn't, it was okay, but yeah. So anyway.
We chose something very beautiful.
According to you and Janie, but that's okay. But your point was well taken, and that it was actually very interesting. I think about it in terms of fashion, but I wasn't thinking about it in terms of the floor. Patsy mentioned that gray is on its way out, and how, you always have these new colors that come in, whether, with clothes, you have a new color for season, and now the rugs and, paint on your walls are gonna be a little bit different, so point well taken. So we're pretty much there. I will get on, I think it's the land use committee meeting for January, and then we should be ready to go out to bid. So we're pretty much there.
When is that? Could you let us know when that meeting is, the land use committee?
Yep. It is usually the first Wednesday. Oh, I don't know well, it's normally the first Wednesday, so that would be January 4th. But I don't know if they're gonna reschedule because of holiday, so I'll find that out, but it's normally the first Wednesday of every month.
It would be great if some of our board went with you for support. If it's the first Wednesday of the month, I'm running the Charter Revision Commission, or the first and third Wednesday, so I wouldn't be able to go, but I think it would be helpful to have support.
Yeah, and they've been very supportive, of the project, and it's just a formality because it's already approved. It's just letting them know where we are and just kind of a recap of everything. They've been very supportive, but I would love to have some company.
Yes, yeah, it's important that they know, that we're really very interested in supporting the library.
For sure.
Okay,
I think
so
that's it.
anything else, Sherelle?
No, ma'am.
Okay, any old business, new business? So it's not even 8:30 and we're adjourning, so. would
Perfect.
someone
I
like
move to adjourn.
Patsy moves to adjourn.
Laurel seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a good night, everybody, and if we don't see each other, we're gonna see each other in the new year. So have a
Happy
great holiday.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy
Thanks for-
holidays, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Holidays.